Hello everyone, myself Ravin. Welcome to my channel Code Beans, and in this video we will know about functions. Functions are also known as methods in some other languages such as Java. So don't get confused. What is function and why do we need functions? So think of it like this: if there is some operation or set of operations that we need to perform again and again in some different places, in that case, instead of writing that code twice or multiple times in different locations, we create a function and then we just call it whenever we want to execute that piece of code. Okay, so how to better understand function? Think of it like this. You remember in our fourth or fifth mathematics classes, we had to solve some problem statements like this. Given an f of x equal to x square, find the value of function f at x equal to 2. Now let's focus on the word function. So basically, the x square in this case is the definition of that function, and we are passing the value of x, in this case x equal to 2, and this function is returning x square, that is 2 to the power 2, that is 4. I hope now you have got some idea what is a function. You can always relate it with what we studied in mathematics classes. And now let's quickly build a function, and then we will also know how to do different operations and how to use different type of functions. So to use the built-in function, let's understand the concept of library. So basically, sometimes what happen is there is some piece of code which is very generic, that the software developer or the developer of the particular language built a library. Library means, think of it like a code which is saved in a file and is shared along with the language. Let's first understand the concept of a library before using the built-in methods or functions which are available in Python. So a library is basically, think of it like a file which contains methods which are shared along with that particular programming language. Also, you can build your own libraries and you can push it to other repositories which host libraries such as pip. In pip you can upload your own libraries also, and also using the pip you can install libraries which are provided by other developers or companies for other people to use. Now let's quickly use the library math to do square root of a number. So to use a library, we will first write the keyword import, which means we want to import some piece of code, and then the name of the library or the file which contains it. In this case it is math. Now we want to use a function which is inside this library, and the name of that function we know is sqrt. So it will become math.sqrt. And now if I pass 9, it should return the square root of 9, which is 3, and it is returning. So with this, we now know how to import a library and how to use methods which are present inside that particular library with the help of dot symbol. Now let's try to make our own method. So suppose we want to calculate square of a number, and the method name that we want to give it is f. Okay, so we will use the keyword def, which means define. Then we will pass the name of the function. In this case we want to name it f. What input should it accept? It will accept only one variable. Let's suppose it is x. Now what it should do, it should print x squared. Now we have a function f. You can see something like this. Okay, f is the type of function. Now how to use this function? Similar to what we used to do in our math class. F of suppose 2, it will print 4. Now there is a concept of return also. Let's just see this. Suppose you want to use something like this: a is equal to f of x. Let's say after doing some computation in a function, you want it to return some value or values or collection of values, and you want to store it in some variable. Okay, so in that case we will use the keyword return. So let's try to do it. So now we are again in our Python interpreter. Let's define a function f which contains or takes one particular variable. Let's name it x, and let's say we want to return x squared. Now one thing to notice here is this. Okay, so either you write something like this, return x square, or you can first create a variable and do this multiplication and then return that particular variable's value. Both are okay. And if you, let's say, write something below this return, that will not get executed, because return means as soon as the interpreter will read the return, and whatever value is after it or set of values are after it, it will just use those values and get out of the function and return those values whenever that function will be called. So just to keep that in mind, uh, now let's just check it. Let's say result is a variable which we want to hold the final computed value of this f when x is equal to 4. So it should return as 16, which is 4 into 4, or you can say square. So let's try to check, and it is 16. Now let's try to make one more function. In this case, I will tell you one more interesting concept. Let's say we want to make a function of adding two numbers a and b, but there is a catch here. The catch is, if we don't provide the value of b, assume it to be 10. So here you can also initialize some default values to variables. Okay, so these variables can be anything. It can be list or anything that you want it to be, and whatever operation you want to perform. Based on that, obviously you will choose the variable. Okay, so let's make it return a plus b. So the sum of, let's say, 1 will be 11, because b is by default 10. 10 plus 1, 11. But the sum of 1 comma 1 will be 2, because now this 1 will override the value of this b. Now this b is 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. One more thing, if we, let's say, make something like a equal to 10 and we don't initialize b any value, it will throw error, because the concept is like this: whenever you want to have default values, so all the variables which have default values should be on the right hand side in the definition. Okay, so let me just show it. So if you want to write something like this, and it will throw an error. Okay, so now we know how to create our own function. We have also came to know the concept of a library, how to import function from a library. I hope this part is clear to you now. So let's quickly understand one more thing. Sometimes what can happen is, we want a function which don't accept any value. Okay, let's say function is welcome. It don't accept anything. What it does, it either prints or returns something. Let's suppose it prints welcome. So we can just call it like this, like pass nothing to it, and it will do whatever is inside the body of this function. Understood? Now there is one more thing. You can pass a function in another function also. Let's check this out. Let's say there is a function run in which we are passing some variable f. Okay, and then we are calling it. Okay, now in this run, if I pass this welcome function, see, I am not called it, I am passing it. So what will happen is, this f will become welcome, and this f will get called, that is welcome will get called, and it will print welcome. Let's see. I hope now functions are clear to you. Now let's understand the concept of the lambda functions. In lambda functions, we can very neatly provide definition of a function in cases where the definition contains less line of codes. Okay, so let's quickly see how can we use lambda function to calculate square of a number. So first we need to use the keyword lambda, lambda, then we will need to pass the input. Input here is x. What will it return? It will return x squared. One thing to remember here is we will not use the keyword return because the lambda itself will return the last computed value. Okay, so now how we will call it? Because if we press enter, now there is a function lambda and we don't know how to use it. So we first have to now use a variable to link this method to a name. Suppose it is square, sq. Press enter. Now if you see the type of sq variable, it is a function, and we can similarly, just like other cases, use it just like other functions. Just pass the variable some value, let's say 4, and it will return 16. Now the concept of lambda functions is also clear, I hope. And with this, this video is now done. And I hope the concept of functions, library, pip package, and lambda functions is clear. In the next video, we will know about exception handling, file read write operation, and some advanced operations of list such as sorting, split, and join. Till then, bye bye, take care.